Hello, we're going to be talking about verbs today. Specifically, what verbs would you use to talk about an emergency? We're going to be talking about two ways to use verbs, and those two ways sound very similar, but they mean different things. So let's start first with the question that a lot of you were answering, which is what should you do if you have a house fire? So if you have a house fire, um, what should you do? Let me share a picture with you. Here's our question. What should you do if you have a house fire? And you might hear two different responses to that. So you might, a lot of you gave the answer that you should call 911. And that's a great answer. Notice that what we're going to be doing today is comparing that response to the response here. So in the question, what should you do if you have a house fire? One response people gave is you should call 911. So pregunta is, what should you do if you have a house fire? Más personas respueste is you should call 911. And when we're using that word should is used to give advice. Remember when we talked before, we said it is your mom in your head talking to you. If you notice here, you'll see the picture of the person down at the bottom, and that person is thinking. So it is the idea of a person thinking about the future, thinking about what to do. Okay, so should in español is deber. It is por advicio, no presente, is por advicio por futuro. Okay. Other examples of what should you do: you should go out of your house. What should you do if you have a house fire? You should go out of your house. Another option, otro opción, you should go out the window if the door is hot. Now, notice in those examples, you're always going to use should with another verb. So, por usar should is necesito usar should con otro verbo siempre. So you're always going to use should with another verb. And you can see here we have should call as the example. So the action is call. Accione is call. And otro verbo por usar con call, llamada, is should call. Here's another example, should go. So if you're using the verb should for advice, you are going to need to put that verb with another action verb, should go. Okay. Now, over here on this side, you'll notice I have a little bit different picture, and I have a similar sounding sentence, but it's not quite the same. So let's think a minute what happens when we compare these two example sentences, okay? So pensar para comparación, ejemplo en amarillo y ejemplo en azul. So if we're looking at the example in yellow and blue, they sound very similar. Sonar is similar, pero esas palabras is no mismo. They are not the same thing. When I say you should call 911 about a house fire, it means that it's advice for the future, the person thinking. If I say I am calling 911 or you are calling 911, it means your house is on fire now. It is telling what is happening now, and in this case, it's in the present. So this set of words in blue is for talking about calling now. Palabras en azul is por hablar situación presente. Tu casa es en fuego ahora. So, because your house is on fire now, you are calling 911 now. Right now, there is someone calling 911. It is different. Así es diferente. Pictura una. Pictura por pensar. Because here, there is no action. The only action is thinking. Solo accione is pensar. Aquí, accione is llamada, calling. Okay? And notice what's happening when we talk about something you are doing right now. It is not just the present tense. It means that you have started the action, comenzar accione, pero no terminar accione. You are still on the phone, calling, 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 calling. No terminar, no final. Okay? Notice the difference in examples here. You should go out of your house. But if I'm talking about it right now, ahora mi casa es en fuego, I am going outside. Next example, you should go out the door, or excuse me, lo siento. You should go out the window if the door is hot. Este palabras es por advicio, por futuro. Aquí, I am going out the window. Tu casa es en fuego or ahora, now. So we are giving the example of I am going out the window. When we use the verb with ing, we are going to put it also with another verb. So es necesito usar dos verbos en ejemplos aquí también. Notice though what's different. Here, we're going to use in the yellow, when we talk about should and the action verb. In the blue, when we are talking about ing, we are going to be using a verb for to be. So this verb, the one I am circling, can change. It can change depending on how many people are doing the action, or you can also use this to talk about an event in the past, okay? So por verbal acción con ing, otro verbo is necesita, pero otro verbo is verdad. It can change depending on cuántas personas o si accione es presente o si accione es pasado. Okay, so we can change this example. We can say I am calling 911. Or if I'm going to talk about many people, my husband and I, dos personas, are calling 911. Or if I'm talking about something from the past, in pasado, I was calling 911, una persona. O por más personas, my husband and I were calling 911. Nota verbal, verdad, por cuántas personas o pasado o presente. I'm going to share also with you some sentences for practicing that ing. So just a moment. All right, here is a worksheet that's going to show us more information about talking about emergencies. And in this example, it is for practicing the ing verbs. And these are all going to be present ing verbs, okay? So Este papel es por practicar verbos con ing presente. And this is different than our conversation that we had in the week. Este es diferente para conversación on miércoles or on Friday, if I spoke with you on Friday. Um, in that conversation, we were practicing should. Tu conversación con maestra, to practicar verbal should. Now we're going to practice the ing, how to talk about emergencies using ing. And in this picture, or on this paper, you can see we have some words at the top and then also some pictures, okay? And so we're gonna do some just matching quick to make sure we understand the words. And then we're going to practice changing the verb to ing. So if you look at number 1, we're gonna be using the words ambulance and come. So look for just a minute at the pictures and think what picture is the same as the words. ¿Qué pictura mismo is mismo palabras ambulance, come? I, of course, have already kind of given you the answer. The color is the same. So number 1 is matching letter A, okay? Both are yellow, okay? Amarillo, amarillo is mismo. Look at number 2. We're gonna be looking for the words a man and bleed. So which picture is the same as the words man and bleed? ¿Qué pictura is mismo por palabras man, bleed? And in this example, it's going to be letter E. Notice we've got the green is verde. Remember, think about bleed in Espanol. Bleed is sangrar. So he is bleeding, okay? All right, number 3. We're going to be looking for the words the firefighters arrive. Which picture matches the words the firefighters arrive? Que pictura es mismo firefighters arrive? And again, it's the same color in blue. Firefighters. Firefighter is persona, bomberos. Okay. Firefighters arrive. Number 4. We're looking for a picture that shows the words mother, call the doctor. ¿Qué pictura is mismo por palabras? Mother, call the doctor. Again, notice the pink is what's matching. So here is our example of a mother and the word call the doctor. Call is llamada. All right, last one, number 5. Woman, heart attack. Woman have a heart attack. ¿Qué pictura es mismo por palabras? Woman have a heart attack. Okay, hopefully you've noticed that it is this picture here, matching the purple. Remember, heart is corazón. So she is heart, having a problem with her heart. Now, what this is wanting us to do is to practice using the words here, but to change it to an ing word. So in the yellow example, in ejemplo amarillo, there is an emergency. An ambulance come? No, we need to change it to an ambulance is coming. And notice what's happened. We need to use a verb form of to be. Este is forma verba be, and then also the ing of come, okay? Let's go ahead and add in our next one, number 2, okay? And when you look at number 2, we have our words a man and bleed. Remember, bleed is sangrar. So we need to change, or we need to add some information to this. There is a car accident. What is happening? A man is bleeding. Notice what we've done. We've used is for our verb and bleeding for our verb. Dos verbos. Primero verbo is por to be. Segunda verbo is por acción. And we needed to change it from bleed to bleeding. Okay, I'm going to move that just a minute. All right, let's look at our next sentence, and we're going to be talking about firefighters and the word arrive. Arrive is the verb. There is a fire in a building, and now we need to change it to the firefighters arriving. So I'm going to start with the firefighters. Now, I need a verb there, and I need to think about which verb is correct. Qual verba is correcto? In number 1 and 2, there is only one noun. In una y dos, este es solo una el sustantivo. Okay? Ambulance, una. Man, una. Okay? In number 3, notice firefighters. ¿Cuántas personas is firefighters? Una o más? One or more than one? Firefighters is more than one. Because firefighters is more than one, I need to use a different verb. Porque firefighters is más personas, is necesito usar verbo por más. And in this case, my two choices, dos opciones, is, are. Is for one, are for two. So the firefighters are, and then our next verb, que accione, arrive. Now, I might think that when I type arrive, it looks like this. Notice though, what is the last letter in arrive? Que la Torah is la Torah ultima in arrive. It is the letter E. When a word in English ends with E, when we add more letters, we need to change the spelling. Cuando palabras terminan en la Torah E, es necesito to get rid of the letter E. So no más E. So when I go to spell it, here is arrive, no E, ing. Correct spelling, arriving. Notice again, nota. Arrive, to make arriving, no E, ing. So our sentence now says, there is a fire in the building. The firefighters are arriving. Let's look at number 4. We need to be making a sentence with mother call the doctor. So think about that for just a moment. And we're going to start with our person, the mother. Now we need to think how many people, ¿cuántas personas? Una. And what verb for one person, ¿qué verbo por una persona? Is ¿qué accione? What action is the mother doing? calling. And I'm going to add ing. It's no necesito to change the spelling. It's not necessary to change the spelling because it ends with 2 consonants. Final the toras in call is dos consonantes, so is no necesito to change that, to make it different, okay? So we go with call, only ing. And who is she calling? The doctor, okay? So what is our sentence? The child has a high fever, fever más grande. The mother is calling the doctor. All right, one more example that we want to be looking at, and it's a medical emergency. Notice we're going to be using the word woman and have a heart attack. Okay, we're going to start with our person. Now we need to think, how many people? 1. So we're going to use is, and our verb is have. Now we think about have and we think, okay, what do I know about have? I want to make having. How do I spell having? Look at the last letter, mira la tora ultima. It is an E. So I need to change the E and add ing. The woman is having a heart attack. Okay, let me move this a little bit so we can hopefully see a little better. Okay, so here is our final sentence. There is a medical emergency. The woman is having a heart attack. All right, things to remember from our lesson today. Remember that in English, when we use 2 verbs like should call or is calling, that changes the meaning. It changes what we are trying to say. So in the examples we were giving, should call, remember, is for advice in the future. It is for thinking in your head. Also remember that when we're talking about ing, that is meaning an action that is happening right now or something that is happening in the past. So before we end, let me share that screen with you one more time just as